What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge. Good evening, Surgeaholics, as Dalpo says. Mark says his favorite cheese is Sargento. Nice. Hey, appreciate you joining us for another edition of Sooner Surge. Double Trouble Live here as we talk a lot of Sooner sports and a lot to talk about tonight. As there's been some news softball wise, as three players entered the portal this afternoon. Quincy Lilio, S.J. Guerin, and Avery Hodge. The rumor, I guess, was true because she
I
entered the portal. So,
I
Jeremy,
was
I
wrong,
know
Jay.
it's
Hey,
what's
everyone can
that?
right now video this or record it. I was wrong.
Here we go,
Shocking to
Sooner
me.
fans. If the moral of the story is if a player isn't at the championship parade, that means they're transferring. Well, it means a good chance, I guess.
Not
Uh,
necessarily.
so that now puts Oklahoma at 5 players they can get from the portal. You have 8 coming back. You have 8 incoming freshmen. That means you can get 5 out of the portal. As we stand right now, Oklahoma can get 5. And I think there's you look at some players on the portal right now to keep an eye on. I think one of them is Caleb Wyckoff out of Texas Tech, catcher, outfielder, all Big 12 first team, led the team in batting 407 last year. Her first year, she was on freshman of the year in the Big 12. I think it's a name to watch personally.
Yeah, I do as well. I think position-wise, we probably could go through and say what they're going to try to get. But we can do that at some point. Colin, I just want to say that's excellent news. Congratulations. And I'll be praying as you're continuing that it's something you
That
can
is awesome.
continue to stay away from.
That is amazing, Colin. That's the best news that's great. That's great news, man. Congrats on that. What's
I
up,
mean,
Teresa?
OU's going to get OU's going to get a catcher out of the portal. They're going to get a pitcher out of the portal, guaranteed. Minimum one a pitcher.
I wouldn't be shocked if they got 2 pitchers, to be honest. But
I agree.
because I think you look at this year, they had 6. Right now, you only have the one coming
3.
in, Audrey Lowry, correct, freshman. Who, by the way,
And
guys,
Gil.
by the way, when we get off this live tonight, go look up Audrey Lowry. Audrey Lowry, go look her up. Just go look at her stuff, her pitching, unbelievable. But you got her, Kirsten Deal, and Peyton Monticelli. That's it.
Yeah, they're probably going to get 2, Jay.
So, and you're going to have to get some. I mean, they got a lot of middle infielders coming in. That's the thing with this class; they got a lot coming in there. So,
Oh, they're loaded middle infield, Jay. You're absolutely right. She is from the Houston area. I don't know why, Jay. Uh, Obviously, here's the deal, Jay. Avery Hodge was great in the Women's College World Series. She was better than anyone thought she would be. She made bigger plays than anyone thought she might. But the fact of the matter is, maybe those that they have coming back, Jay, are going to be just like some of the freshmen they had this year. Really, really, really good.
yeah, and Jeremy, you actually have Parker back too. So Parker's another one. She was an EH most of the year, but you do have her, and I do think Hodge is probably going to end up somewhere in Texas. That's what I would think.
I tend to think that as well. Monty, I was wrong as well. I thought she would be the one that stayed. I'm not surprised at all about Lilio and S.J. Guerin.
Hey, is there anything to the fact that, I mean, Hodge now has been there 2 years. Is there anything to the fact of, golly, these players have won multiple championships? It's like, maybe, okay, I'm going to go near my home now. I mean, what else can you really do at Oklahoma? I know, here's what I say with the 3 that are transfers. They want to play, and they want to play every day. I mean, S.J. Guerin did not get the opportunity this year. She probably wants to go somewhere and play and pitch. So, I mean, I think it's best – to me, I think it's best for both worlds when that's the case, when somebody's leaving to go play because, I mean, fact of the matter is they're probably not going to get much of a chance at OU, right?
That's true, Jay. They weren't. And I like S.J. Guerin stuff with the changeup and stuff. And I wish all 3 of them well. I do know that OU's got a lot coming in. And I know, Jay, you were talking – everyone knows one thing we can guarantee about Patty Gasso. She's as honest as they come. And so, there are sit-down meetings probably even prior to the Women's College World Series throughout the year saying, look, here's what we got coming in. I'm just, be honest with you right now.
Well, and what's crazy about next year's team is there's only one senior, Sydney Sanders, unless they get him out of the portal. You know what I mean? Hey, and Dalpo says, Uncle Lou said Riley was better than BB and I had to turn up. Yeah. Hey, by the way, speaking of guests, though, tomorrow night we will be releasing a video with Justin McLeod. Justin McLeod is an editor on D1 Softball. If you see anything on Twitter about people entering the portal, it's Justin McLeod. So we are going to have a great sit-down interview with Justin McLeod. We'll be releasing it tomorrow evening. Some good portal insight and different things on the world of softball. So don't miss that. And yeah, we can get to some football talk. I'm fine with that.
Hey, Jay, what do you think about that comment? That Riley is better than BV?
Here's what I'll say about the Riley stuff. Riley needs to prove it to me somewhere else other than Oklahoma with taking over for Bob Stoops. Because I felt like after the first years, he was maybe starting to go down a little bit.
And that's the thing. I would say he's done more as a head coach than Brent Venables. If you think Brent Venables has done more as a head coach, you're wrong. Riley's done more as a head coach. Yes. The thing is, it was with Bob Stoops' players, and he never could really win the massive game. And really, the defensive side of the ball, the guys, look, unfortunately, Jay, when you're the head of guy and you bring in a guy to coach the defense, if he's not a guy that's going to get it done, that kind of falls on your shoulders.
Yeah, Brett Testerman. I absolutely think they're going to get one in the portal. An experience, one with at least 2 to 3 years of playing. And that's why I mentioned Texas Tech. And who knows? I mentioned her because she is a catcher. She's played 2 years. She's a good bat, really good bat. Could be a good option. We'll see. But I do think they're going to get one in the portal because I just don't think they're going to just put it all on a freshman year one. Now, if that person comes in and wins a job and is just unbelievable, yeah, but I don't think you can just you can't go into the season without having somebody back there with experience, I think.
And I'm not going to talk too much on this because I don't want to argue really, but a lot of the players on the 2000 national championship team, though, yeah, there were some Blake guys, but a lot of the key people are JUCO guys that Bob Stoops got.
Yeah, and let's not forget Bob Stoops was in many a national championships. It's not like they weren't making the natty, and they didn't win some. They should have won. I agree.
Yeah, Heupel, Torrance Marshall, Fagan, some of the main players on that team were his guys. Derek Strait was a recruit that he recruited, true freshman that played DB. A lot of the big time key cogs were his guys.
Correct.
And I don't think it's just about the guys. It's not just about the guys you get. It's also the fact that putting him in the right position, he hired great coaches underneath him. That's kind of the whole thing here. And I think BV has done that. BV has got the coaches he wants. I think this team, everything's headed in the right direction. Now it's got to happen on the field, period. It's got to happen on the field.
Yeah. She's a great player, Chief. I mean, as far as what's the story, haven't heard anything yet, but she's a great player. And OU's going to have to replace everybody in that infield except Sydney Sanders. And I kind of think Nellie may play third. Nellie Mack. It's kind of where I'm thinking. I don't know what you guys think, but
Nellie, I think Nellie Mack will be third baseman. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning. Oh my gosh, I did see that Sooner fan. Unbelievable. Wow. That was crazy.
How many were injured, Jay?
Don't know. I just saw the video. Now look at that. Maybe both can win national championship number 8 this season. Hey, I saw OU's percent to make the playoff, 36%. Think that's about right?
I saw that too, Jay. That's probably a good number.
I think it's about right.
Mark says Eric Lopez from In the Circle YouTube channel.
Okay, I'd have to check that out. I haven't seen that one. I have to check it out.
Hey, are we talking about Bob Stoops defense only? Or, yeah, I mean, all of those are hypotheticals. We could talk days about hypotheticals on those.
You got a hot take tonight?
I can always give a hot take, Jay, but what do you want me to give a hot take on?
I got a pretty hot take.
Let's hear it.
It's not OU related, but it's a hot take. Saw the weather forecast for the U.S. Open. I'm picking Tiger Woods to win the tournament. How's that sound?
That's a massive hot take. What's the weather forecast?
90s, no rain, nice and warm for him and his back. I'm expecting Tiger to perform well this week. We'll see.
I think he's going to need a lot of wind so that the scores are pretty high for him to. If the winner's -3 or even, he'll be fine.
Scores are going to be high. Listen to the players. Said it's borderline unplayable on the greens right now already.
Bigger chance Tiger Woods winning or Tiger Woods withdrawing, Jay?
Right. I mean, probably a bigger chance he withdraws. That's why I think it's a hot take, Jeremy.
Yeah.
What do you think of Danny Hurley? I think it's great for college basketball is what I think. I think it's absolutely outstanding. And I appreciate guys like Danny Hurley. I think it's good for the game and good for college basketball.
Jay, what was his reasoning?
Well, he's won 2 in a row. So he's going for 3 in a row.
But did you hear a presser? Did he come out in a press conference and say anything?
I haven't heard. That's a good hot take, Bobby. Caitlin's going to go play for Italy for the Olympics since she didn't get drafted. How about the reason why she didn't get picked? Wow.
What was the reason?
They thought it would be bad because there'd be an uproar when she didn't play as much as the people that have been on the team and are experienced. So,
hey,
yeah, you don't say real.
I don't think it's that, but it's got to be in your mind about trying to coach anyone in the professional realm, in my opinion. It's got to be more difficult.
Hey, let's expand on this, Sooner Cowboys. Exactly what do you mean? You think they think it's harder to get talent, elite defensive guys to OU? I mean, don't you think they're starting to get elite defensive guys?
I would say they've gotten elite defensive guys.
I think
Cracker Mac. I agree with Cracker Mac. BV's getting elite defensive guys.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm. What do you mean by that, Sooner Cowboy? And I saw Eric agreed. So what do you expand on that? I'd like to know more of what your who has the biggest brand in college football? I think Ohio State's up there and Alabama. I think those are probably Notre Dame's pretty high too, I think.
One of the most elite defensive guys OU has right now is Billy Bowman. I don't know if you saw a video. He looks very strong right now.
Yeah. Agreed.
Saw a video. He looks really strong right now.
Defensively, they're getting guys. I kind of disagree with that. And I think Clemson's actually going the wrong way. I think OU's, I mean, go look at the recruiting rankings. So OU is the biggest.
Two things can be true, Jay. Two things can be true. You can get elite defensive talent and be happy with that, and you still not win on the field. And that's what people want to see. They want both of those to be true.
Hey, he's talking about linebacker, saying getting a linebacker, but I think it's because they were so deep at linebacker. But Eric, he means you have to consistently get 5-star defensive talent every year. Who did they get last year? Who did they get the year before? I mean, are you wanting like 5 or 6 5-stars? Is that what you're saying? That's like Alabama, Georgia level. Is that what you're saying? But that's not really Clemson level right now.
No, OU's landed 5 stars 2 consecutive years under BV, so I think definitely done the right. They're trending up, Jay.
Yeah, and hey, I think this is true as well for football, softball. I mean, baseball. SEC is going to help you tremendously. It's going to continue to help recruiting big time. Yeah, they haven't been top 10 classes. And by the way, Dabo Swinney, I saw the video, the cringe video of him. If you're with the recruit, you got to know the guy's name. I mean, that's number one rule. You can't ask him his name. I mean, come on. I mean, and I don't know if you saw it, Jeremy. You probably didn't.
I didn't see it, Jay. Can someone drop in Alabama's defensive ranks the last 2 years? I'm just curious. Hunter, can you?
But listen,
I want to know total defense. What was Bama the last 2 years?
I think that a lot of people nationwide they lump Alabama and Georgia together in a lot of statistical categories, and that's not true. That's not accurate. Georgia's by far and away the better defense than Alabama. It's not close. Not close.
And here's why I disagree with Clemson being more relevant. The whole SEC move makes OU and Texas more relevant right now. Unfortunately
hey, Sheila, Brito, I think people are going to just – I think people took her third base talent kind of just took it for granted. I mean, the throws, her arm is unbelievable, and she's going to be tough to replace at third base. I think tougher than when Tiare took over for Grace, because I think Tiare was a really good player in her own right. But you're going to have a brand new player at third base. It's going to be a tough replacement.
I agree. It will be, Jay. There'll be more errors next year. Hey, so Bama was top 20 the last 2 years, and people are here asking for OU to be top 10. I said OU should be a top 15 defense. They can win a natty with a top 15 defense.
So if they were top 20 and people think, oh, you'll be top 15, are you saying Brent Venables can recruit defensively now?
I guess Brent Venables recruits better than Bama, or coaches better. If they're saying, oh, you should be
top 10. One
top
of them
10.
has to be true. Either they're recruiting better than Bama to have a better defense, or they're playing better. Which one is it? So we'll see. We'll see what happens this year. Georgia is far and away above everybody else. Go look at the overall statistics in defense, total defense. They consistently hold teams under a total of 300 yards yearly. It's crazy. At 300 yards average per game. So that's the standard. To me, that's the standard you're shooting for. I think Absolutely. The days for Bama, yeah, Bama's great. They're always up there. But if you're wanting to be the best, Georgia's the one to strive for.
Yeah, Georgia has taken over the Bama kind of admiration as to what every team is trying to be. That's the standard. That's the mark. It's Georgia. It's not Bama anymore, Jay. And especially with Saban gone, it's not going to be Bama anymore.
Georgia's really the only team, I think, in the country that when it's went to total air, a lot of spread offense and everything, they're really the only one that's continued to really play outstanding defense. I think most other defenses have kind of fallen back. And SEC Mike was on our show. He said the same thing. The SEC defenses aren't what they were 5-10 years ago. It's different. The offenses have gotten better. Georgia's the only one that's really stayed up there in my book. And that's part of it, Sooner Cowboy. I agree.
That's it.
Left, where did he go? Georgia. And they're way better defensively. I think that's a lot to do with it. I think that's a good point. Mark says
if Mark's talking about the run-heavy teams typically have better defensive statistics, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, time of possession, everything about it.
What do you want to judge the defense by? I guess that's the big question. Is it only going to be stats? I mean, that's the thing you have to ask yourself. What are we going to judge the defense by? Wins and losses? Stats? Stops? Turnovers? What?
I usually, personally, I judge defense by points allowed.
I agree with that, Jay, and Ron's the same way. I think points allowed is the number one stat.
Because you can bend but not break, and that's fine. You allow less points and you win the game. And the only thing that doesn't take into consideration is if your offense allows points by throwing a pick six or whatever. But, yeah, points allowed I think is the biggest thing.
I don't know about Uncle Charlie. I don't know what the standard is for offense now. OU under Lincoln Riley was the standard for offense. People can argue all they want.
There's not one team out there offensively that's a standard. There's too many.
Ohio State went through a phase where they were.
Yeah.
Last 9 games, they weren't impressive.
Great point, Mass. Great point, by the way. Appreciate that. 2024, Stone, Jackson, Okoye, and Nigel turned down Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU. So they are.
That's all you need to know, Jay.
They are getting guys.
PJ Adebawore, Peyton Bowen turned down big-time schools to go to OU.
Hey, is this a make-or-break year? I mean, I know the schedule's brutal, but I think this schedule, being brutal, can catapult you into an amazing run. If you have a great year this year recruiting, the next year in the SEC, it's one of those deals where, yeah, it sucks. The schedule is brutal, But if you go out there and perform really well, to me, it really opens doors to the next 5-7 years to just be outstanding.
It's going to be a grind, Jay. It's going to be a grind every year.
And I don't know if you saw that. I think Dusty Dvorak said, I think he was.
I was shocked, Jay.
8-4
would be good,
really, right?
And that is bad.
Is that what he said?
He said 8-4, third year in the BV. That's a good season. OU fans, athletes, university should all be thrilled with that.
Are you thrilled with that?
No. 9-3, I'm thrilled with. 8-4, I'm thinking I don't know about this thing.
I think 8-4. I think we've talked about it. So many close games. It's going to be how a lot of it's going to depend on how you lost those games. If you lost 4 and who you lost to. But 9-3, I'm shooting for 9-3, and I won't be. I would not be that happy if they're not 9-3. So,
yeah, and the difference is people on here, and I know there's some on here who say, yeah, I said 8-4. But are you going to be happy with 8-4? Because Dusty Dvorak implied that you should be happy with that. I disagree with that take.
I think a lot of people, when they look at the schedule, they think 8-4 is really good with this schedule. So I think that's what he's basing off of, fans. Bobby says that's realistic, not thrilled with it. And I think if you look at who they play on the road, that maybe a lot of people nationally think that's realistic. It's hard for me to say that with this defense coming back. And now, if the defense goes out there and isn't very good, they're not going to be 9-3. I promise you, they'll be 8-4 or worse.
Right, and Ron says 8-4, be happy. That's the mindset that Dusty Dvorak took. But I'm with on Eric, who says 8-4. I'd be mad. I would be too. That's not. I don't. I think this team is better than 8-4.
Well, it depends on a few things, though. And we've talked about.
What does it depend on, Jay? Obviously, how you play.
Offensive line and quarterback.
I think it depends on defense too, Jay.
You cannot win in college football without a quarterback playing really good. I expect him to, but you don't know that. You haven't seen it. It's not like it's Baker Mayfield returning for his next year. It's not like it's Dylan Gabriel coming back for his second year. It's a guy who's got a ceiling, unbelievable ceiling, unbelievable talent. I think he's going to have an outstanding year personally, and that's why I'm picking him 9-3.
Yeah, someone else said, someone asked if some of those teams are overrated. We're going to find out who's overrated pretty early this season.
James says we'll be in the playoff. Hey, here's what I know for a fact.
Agreed.
Either Oklahoma, Missouri, or Ole Miss, right? Those three teams, one of those, at least one of those is going to be what I say a contender. Two of them may be pretenders. Two out of those three, I think, will not be as good as people thought. And I'm hoping and banking it's Missouri and Ole Miss.
Would you rather
if there's two games OU really needs to win on the road, those would be the two, in my opinion. If you're wanting to make the playoff at 9-3, it's those two games.
And Jay, Deion Burks and Dominique Williams, massive gets. Hey, so here's my question for Eric. Here, Jay. And there's others on here who mentioned, I think, someone else mentioned Ole Miss. And I know, Jay, you and I have talked about Ole Miss a lot. I wish Ole Miss fan was on here, but Jay, what makes Ole Miss a contender? Why is Ole Miss a contender and OU not? That's my question, I think. How is Ole Miss a contender and OU not? Is it just because of Jackson Dart?
And that would
they have a better Jackson? Is that what?
Well, that's actually my problem with Ole Miss. I don't think Jackson Dart's that great of a quarterback. I think he's good.
He's played for years and hasn't proven a darn thing, Jay.
I mean, if I look at Missouri and Ole Miss, there's two things that have it, and this is it. This is what I was going to say. It's the schedule is a lot of it. But I also think
that's one. I'll give you that.
I also think defensively both teams got better. So that's where I'm banking.
They did.
I'm not banking on quarterback at all because I don't think either of them have great quarterbacks.
I agree, Jay. I think I think Brady Cook probably had his peak year. I think he's peaked, Jay. I don't think he can get any better. And Jackson Dart, I do think is uber talented. I just don't know if he's it.
What was Ole Miss's record last year?
Eric says 11-1 in the SEC.
They didn't play 12 SEC games, did they?
I don't recall, Jay. I didn't follow them.
They don't play 12 SEC games. They had 2 to 3 losses on the year. 11-2. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
but not.
I was going to say I didn't think it was.
I think
and a lot. Bobby says he would take Kiffin and Golding, but Kiffin. I mean, let's talk big games. Hasn't been phenomenal. I like Kiffin and Golding too, but
yeah, I like Kiffin. I'm not sold on Kiffin's defenses, and we'll see this year. I think they were better last year, and they should be better this year. But I have to see it. I have to see it, believe it.
And that's what I was getting at, Jay. If they're automatically a contender for these 3 reasons, then I guess OU's got to be a contender for some of those reasons. What makes OU not a contender is they got a tough schedule, is what people would say. And I agree, they have a tough schedule.
Brutal schedule. Agree. I know Ole Miss went 11-2 last year, but if somebody could drop me their 11 wins right now.
Hey, Jay, Kentucky this year is not a gimme.
Who did they beat other than LSU last year?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, Jay. They lost to Georgia.
I'd like to know who they beat last year other than LSU. Because they didn't have a tough schedule last year.
I'm not talking about last year, Eric. DG's gone. There's a lot of people gone. I'm not going to talk about last year's team, really. I'm talking about what's in the stable this year.
Hey, by the way, and this is a great point, talking about the SEC fans. I don't know if anybody saw the Georgia baseball where they had the fans in the backyard of that college house. It was unbelievable, man. It's different. SEC fans, it's a different animal, and OU's got to be ready to go. Yeah, Bama did not like Golding. A lot of the fans did. I agree.
I think there's a relationship issue between Saban and Golding.
That could be true. I mean, that could be true.
From what I've heard from people.
Yeah, that could be true for sure. I mean, there's no denying.
And look, it's going to be fun as it gets closer because if Hunter's on, can someone drop Ole Miss's schedule? I'd love to see it right now at the beginning of the year.
This year's they got an easy schedule this year.
I know it's easy, but I'm saying upcoming games. And I do agree with Mez. Hey, if you go back and watch any post-game video, Jay, from last year, any post-game OU video from last year, the number one complaint from most fans, Jeff Levy, Dylan Gabriel, they're not there anymore. They're not there anymore. Defensive line, no pressure. They got dudes there now.
Yeah, James, thanks for
joining.
Talk
about those things.
I'm with you, bro. Can't wait till next year. It's going to be exciting. Thanks, James, for joining. Sooner Surge, big ones are Georgia, LSU, OU, Florida. How good is Florida this year, though? I don't think Florida is going to be that good. Do you?
No, I'm not high. I'm not sold on Florida at all, Jay. Not at all.
Exactly. Thank you, Bobby. They always lose to Georgia and Bama.
Penn State was nothing last year. Sorry.
I don't consider Penn State until Penn State beats somebody of good. Penn State and Ole Miss to me are about the same team. When you look at who they beat, they always beat who they're supposed to. They usually beat who they're supposed to beat. They never beat the big dogs. And that's what I got to see personally. Just Jason as a fan, as a SEC and the SEC now and an OU fan is, I have to see, for me to pick Ole Miss in the SEC championship game, I have to see Ole Miss beat either Alabama or Georgia or a big dog. And don't tell me LSU last year. That game was like 50-49, and LSU stunk last year. So, other than Jaden Daniels. So, I need to see it to believe it. And I'd be saying, guys, I'd be saying the same thing if it was OU. You know I would, Jeremy.
Well, you've said it already. That
OU's kind of the opposite. They beat
OU's got to beat the teams they should beat, Jay.
And they can't beat the teams they should beat. That's part of OU's problem is total flipped.
What is Oklahoma now? Oklahoma's a team that should – the reason OU has been disappointing, Eric, and you'll agree and all the fans will agree is what we just said. OU has lost to teams they should beat.
Eric,
they're not there yet.
Eric,
I think they are with what they have this next year. Hey, I'm not making an excuse for OU. Go watch any live last year after a game.
I'm critical of OU all the time. I'm not a Sunshine Poper at all. So I don't know. I guess because I'm criticizing Ole Miss, who you love, then that's saying that I'm criticizing other teams. I can have an opinion about Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss is an SEC championship team. There's nothing wrong with me to have that opinion. Just like y'all can have your own opinions. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't think Ole Miss is an SEC championship team. Right now, I'm picking in the SEC championship game. I'm picking Georgia and Texas. So that's who I'm picking.
Yeah, and I think the fact of the matter is when we talk mid-SEC teams, really from about 2nd to 9th, they're all the same, including Alabama now maybe. From 2nd to 9th, they're all pretty much there, Jay. It's going to come down to a couple plays.
It's a log jam. It's going to be very pivotal, close games, and you got to make the plays, period.
And what I was saying, Big Bad Brat 100, is exactly this. And I'm not going to get on it right now, but most complaints from OU fans last year were about Jeff Lebby, Dylan Gabriel, or the defensive line and not being able to get pressure. Okay? All three of those things, Jeff Lebby, gone. Dylan Gabriel, gone. Weak defensive line, we think, is not there anymore. It's strong. So I guess that's why my opinion is OU should be better. I'm assessing them right now. I think they're better than last year.
Hey, a lot of Eric, what you're saying, what do you think people outside Oklahoma think about Oklahoma? A lot of people think OU is not going to be very good in the SEC.
And then some think they are, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mixed bag. And they say, and this is a stigma that OU's had, and they have to lift it. They have to get rid of that. That's part of the problem is the stigma's there. And even last year, they started off, and you thought that might go away, but then they had injuries in it. They down the stretch, they had some bad games. That's the stigma you have to get rid of. You have to play a good defensive year this year.
And that's why, like James says, it's a totally different team. But also, I think going to the SEC helps OU. I think they're going to go in there with the chip on their shoulder. They always play better that way. And they hear the comments, Jay. They hear them. I think they're going to play better. They got enough veteran dudes on this team to take it personally.
Hey, for all the ones on here that are loving Ole Miss, I got a question for you. What are they going to – you say they're going to be in the SEC championship game. What's their record going to be?
I think a lot of people think they're going to be 10-2, Jay.
So they think what they're saying, I'd like to see it. 11-1, Hunter says.
Well, no, they're not 11-1, guys. I don't see
that. Everybody thinks 11-1. Okay. So y'all think Ole Miss is going 11-1. Guys, I would be absolutely shocked if they have one loss. I think they're
going to lose to Georgia probably.
Yeah, they're not beating Georgia. So, obviously, most people think Ole Miss is beating Oklahoma. And I think most people nationally think that. And I think that's a game that's going to be very difficult for OU to win. I agree with that.
I agree. It's a hard game to win, Jay. I would rather take my chance against Missouri than Ole Miss, I think. If I had to pick, they would win one of the two, I think it would be Missouri.
I would agree with that. But I also think I don't know what it is. And this is just me. And you guys know that one of my big holdbacks on OU this year is what, Jeremy? It's an inexperienced quarterback. That's what I said. He's going to have to learn. It's going to be tough, SEC. And I think he's unreal. I think he'll have a good year, but I think there could be some growing pains on the road. We'll see. But from an outsider, listen, I am not an Ole Miss hater at all. I actually like Ole Miss, to be honest with you. I like Lane Kiffin. I don't know the love of Jackson Dart. I don't understand it. I don't think he's that outstanding of a quarterback. That's just me, guys. I don't see it. I don't see it when I watch the game thinking, this guy's unbelievable. Oh, my gosh. That's just me. I don't see that. And I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think their defense will be better. And if they make the SEC championship, I think that's how. It's because their defense is way better.
Yeah, and hey, a great topic for tomorrow I can see is what people are talking about on here right now, or we can go a little longer. But here's the deal.
I can go a little bit longer. It's fine.
Bob Stoops coached defense, and he knows how to coach. He didn't forget how to coach defense. I'm going to tell you what happened. The spread offense came to the Big 12, Jay, before it ever did the SEC, and it changed recruiting and things in the conference. That's a big deal about it, Jay. In my opinion, that was a big deal. Patrick Mahomes wasn't in the SEC. With that.
Hey,
he absolutely did not forget how to coach, Eric. Come on. I'm going to get fired up right now, and I don't want to. Come on. Not worth it. Not worth to get this fired up about. To say Bob Stoops forgot how to coach football. That's absurd.
And if you remember right, Sooner Cowboy, a lot of people wanted him run. They ran him off, really.
They did. OU's defense wasn't good when the spread came. And, yeah, OU brought the spread. But it's unbelievable to say Bob Stoops forgot how to coach. That's ridiculous. Did Bama forget how to coach?
Hey, guys, I personally, if Bob Stoops stays one more year, I think he gets another natty. I think
they might have won that year with Riley as the OC.
I think if Lincoln Riley's the OC that year and Bob Stoops is the head coach, I think they win a natty. Now, that's total speculation. There's no way you can prove it. I am an Oklahoma fan, so yeah, you can say it's a little homerism. I don't care. But that's just my opinion. I think that was a great team, and I think they could have won it all that year.
OU had some good defenses, even in the late 2005 to 2009. They had some, Jay, but once the spread really, and it's, Jay, we used to have arguments all the time. People talk about the SEC defense, and we would say, hey, now hold up, because the offenses in the Big 12 were better than those SEC offenses. The style was different. In fact, every time OU played one, hey, a.k.a. Georgia, in the playoff, OU lit them up. That's a fact.
Hey,
OU lit up Georgia's defense.
Hunter, drop their schedule.
Lost the game, but they lit them up.
Hunter, drop their schedule for me real quick, if you could. If you could, please. Yeah, they got Georgia in Oxford. That's right. LSU in Baton Rouge. Okay. But drop the rest of their schedule. I want to go over something real quick. Forget just a second. If Hunter can drop it.
Hey, Georgia didn't beat OU. Georgia didn't beat OU in the playoff because of their elite defense. I hope everyone knows that.
And while Hunter's looking up, I got a trivia. This is way off base, this trivia. It's not OU football. It just came to me in about 5 minutes ago when I was talking golf. But I want to know the year. This is the U.S. Open. Before I get to the question, FanStop, check them out. Fanstop.com. When you get there, use code SURGE. You'll get 10% off your first 3 months. Check them out. Officially licensed merchandise. You will not be disappointed. This year, the U.S. Open's at Pinehurst #2. There was a famous incident that happened at Pinehurst #2. Remember, John Daly hits the putt, starts rolling back down the hill. He just walks up there and smacks it. Everybody probably remembers that. What year was that? That's all I want to know. What year was that? It's a tough question. Do you remember that, though, Jeremy?
I absolutely do.
Yeah, I hope you're a fan if they get a national championship. Okay,
yeah.
There's the schedule.
Ole Miss's first 4 games are atrocious.
It was not 86, not 92. Closer, 2002 is closer. That's not it. You're getting closer, though. That's close.
Jay, Ole Miss's schedule is here, and I want to go over it.
I got something to say about it real quick, Jeremy.
I do, too.
Okay. 1999, Bobby the winner. Congrats,
of course, Bobby got it.
1999, he continues his streak. Here we go. Let me go to.
Hey, Jay, I want to ask, where is UK at? Where's Kentucky at? Because if that's a road game, watch out.
Where's Florida at?
Look, the first 4 are gimmies, Jay. Wake Forest, I don't know. I don't look for that to be a tough match.
Oh, did Jimmy get it first? Jimmy might have got it first. I can't see on my end. I cannot keep up with the comments. So Hunter will have to check it out. Jimmy might have got it.
Hunter says home away. So I think Kentucky's at home, Florida's away, Jay.
Okay, so if what I was going to ask people, if it was OU had that schedule right there, what would you
Jimmy
predict?
got it first.
What would you predict OU to be with that schedule?
What would I predict?
Yeah, so the OU game would be Ole Miss, but what would you pick?
I would say 2 losses, chance of 3. Probably 2 losses, Jay.
So 10-2.
Yes.
And what would you say if that's Ole Miss right there? Because that's their schedule. What do you predict?
The same. I mean, I'm going to say 2 to 3 losses.
OU and Ole Miss are the same teams.
Exactly. OU and Ole Miss are the same.
So I'm asking OU, Eric, what would you say? 9-3 for OU?
For OU, he's saying. 11-1 for Ole Miss. So the only game Ole Miss is losing is Georgia, I think, is what people think.
Yeah, see, here's what I think. Guys,
watch out for Jeff Lebby in the Egg Bowl.
All I would say is be careful on Ole Miss. Personally, I just think there's a couple of games there. LSU will be very tricky. They got him last year. They have to get him again. I don't think Florida's great, but if that game's at Florida, I can't just sit here and say that's a walk through the park they're going to win. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, you can say, yeah, it looks good on paper, but still got to see it.
Yeah, and look, overall, Jay, a lot of this on paper and everything, we got to see it. It'll be here before we know it. Hey, thanks for staying with us a little longer tonight. We continue to maybe go longer, maybe 45 minutes coming soon as football gets closer. Appreciate everyone. You can help us out by liking our channel, by commenting. All those things really help us out. And as Jay said, please check out the FanStop at fanstop.com. We will see everybody tomorrow night. Also, make sure you check out the Justin McLeod interview tomorrow. See everyone. Boomer.
Sooner.